Alright, here's the homework for our inequalities, okay? So first, let's interpret the phrases and what the inequality is, okay? So the example, I'm thinking of a number that is greater than 13, would be x is greater than 13. I'm thinking of a number that is at least 13, means that x is going to be greater than or equal to 13, because 13 is the smallest it can be. So 2, I'm thinking of a number that is no fewer than 13. Okay? No fewer is kind of the same as at least. So basically the same thing. I could also write it 13 is less than or equal to x. I'm thinking of a number that does not exceed 13. Okay? So that would be x is less than 13. I am thinking of a number that is at most 13. That would be x is less than or equal to 13. I'm thinking of a number that is no more than 13. Again, x is less than or equal to 13. I'm thinking of a number that is fewer than 13. Would be x is fewer, less than 13. I'm thinking of a number that is not above 13. X is less than 13. As you can see, there's lots of different ways to say this. I'm thinking of a number that is less than 13. Same thing. I'm thinking of a number that is not under 13, meaning it's greater than or equal to. I'm thinking of a number that is not greater than 13. So, less than or equal to, right? Okay. So, kind of crazy, but there we go with that. All right. Let's create some inequalities. So to take sweepstakes for the largest pumpkin crop at the Riverside County Fair, the average weight of Ethan's 2 pumpkins must be greater than 875 pounds. One of his pumpkins weighs 903. What is the least amount of pounds a second pumpkin could weigh in order for Ethan to win the prize? So 875 is the lowest we can have. So our answer has to be bigger. Okay. One of them, we know, already is 903 pounds, plus whatever the weight of the other pumpkin is. Okay? But since we're looking for the average, an average we would divide that by 2, right? So there's our inequality. So we times both sides by 2. Okay? So 875 times 2 is 1750. Is less than 903 plus p. Subtract 903 from both sides. And we get 847 is less than p. So part B would be basically talking about that and saying something along the lines that the pumpkin has to be greater than 847 pounds. Or can't be less than, or any of those types of ways of saying it. Okay? Now, if we're talking about interval notation, right? Well, it has to at least be 847 pounds, but it can be as big as you want it. So we represent that with infinity. For set notation, for the variable p, 847 is less than p. And you put those fancy brackets around it. That's pretty much all you got to do on that one. Okay? Alright, number 12. The average of Aaron's 3 test scores must be at least 93 to earn an A in the class. Aaron scored 89 on the first test and 94 in the second test. What scores can Aaron get on his third test to guarantee an A in the class? Okay, the highest possible score is 100. So, all 3 of the test scores, so we've got 89 plus 94, right, which we can simplify that to 183, plus the new test score, right? We'll put T for it. Okay, that has to be average, so divide by 3. Okay, so that's he wants that to be at least 93, so it wants to be greater than or equal to 93. Okay, so there's our inequality. We times by 3, so 93 times 3 gives us 279. It's less than or equal to 183 plus T. Subtract 183 from both sides. And we get 96 is less than or equal to T. Which, since the highest possible score is 100, we could then add to at this. Okay, which then for our interval notation would basically look something like that. And for our interval, or set notation, was that interval would be 96 to 100, since we can't get higher than 100. And the way we describe it is his test score needs to be between 96 and 100. All right, one more of these type. Okay, a cell phone company offers a plan that costs $35.99 and includes unlimited texting. Another company offers a plan that costs $19.99 and charges 25 cents per text. For what number of texts does the second company's plan cost more than the first? So the first is just a flat fee of $35.99. Okay. So when does the second one cost more? So when is this less than the $19.99 plus 0.25 per text? So there's our inequality. So we subtract $19.99 from that. End up with 16 is less than or equal to 0.25 times t. Divide by 0.25. And we get 64 is less than t. Okay. So if you're under, so part B, if you're under 64 texts, it's cheaper. If you go 64 over, then it's more expensive. Okay. So interval notation from 0 to 64. Set notation is not less than 0, right? Wait, no. Hold on. Did I mix myself up here? So 64 is less than t. So for what number of texts does the second company's plan? Okay, it was costing more. We were right. We were good. So it would cost more from 64 to infinity. That's what I was doing wrong. So that's what we were looking for our set notation. Okay? All right. Now 14, we are going to do some addition, subtraction, multiplication to both sides of these inequalities. So we're applying each to this original -9 is less than 2. So what happens if I subtract 7 from both sides? -9 minus 7 is -16. 2 minus 7 is -5. Is -16 less than -5? Yes, so that's true. Okay, I'm showing my work down there, but you would need to be putting them in there, right? At least guess the results. So -16 is less than -5. Okay, B, add 15 to both sides. So -9 is less than 2. Add 15 to both sides. That would be a +6, and that would be 17. Is 6 less than 17? That is also true. Okay, now let's add -10 to both sides. -9 plus -10 is -19. -9 plus -10 is a -8. Is -19 less than -8? That is also true. Okay. Alright, clear the bottom here for the next set. Okay, multiply both sides by 10. -9 is less than 2. Times by 10, times by 10. -90 is less than 20. Is that true? -90 is less than 20. That is true. Divide both sides by 5. -9 and 2. Divide by 5. -9 divided by 5 would be what? -1 4/5 and 2/5 positive. So I believe that's -1.8 for those that like decimals. It's less than 0.4 because I think 1/5 is 0.2. So that's still true. Okay, because one's negative, one's positive. Multiply both sides by -6. So times -6 times -6. That would be a +54 and a -12. Is 54 less than -12? That is not incorrect. Or, that is not correct, so it is incorrect. Stumbling over my words here. So that's false. and then divide both sides by a -3. Can't write either. Can't speak, can't write. Don't know what I'm good for. Divide by -3, that's a +3. And -2/3. Is a positive ever less than a negative? No. So that one is also false. Okay. So what operations, when performed on an inequality, reverse the inequality? So what you need to write is something along the lines of, we can see that if we subtract from both sides, add to both sides, add a negative to both sides, multiply or divide by positive numbers, it's all true. Okay? But in order for these ones to work, the inequality would have to be flipped. So when we multiply or divide by negative numbers, that's when you would have to reverse the inequality to make it true. Okay? And that's what you essentially are writing down there. But there we go.